So, Blaine, today I was home solo with the kids in the morning, and I just was holding a carton of chocolate milk,
Mhm.
and it literally slipped out of my hands, and all of it spilled all over the floor.
Oh
And
my
it,
gosh.
it was like, when you spill like a jug of something and it's like whoop, 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 like coming out. That's
Yep.
exactly what happened. And it was also like the expensive chocolate milk. So like Fairlife ultra filtered chocolate milk. Of course, it wasn't the like $1 half gallon
hmm
carton of chocolate milk.
Never is. Yep.
And I usually drink this chocolate milk every day when I take my vitamins because I hate the taste of my vitamins. And
Yeah.
then we didn't have any more. So then I didn't take my vitamins. And it just kind of got me inspired to think like everyone says don't cry over spilt milk, but gosh, I'm going to cry over spilt milk because that was like my breaking point today.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast. I'm Blaine Ledbetter.
And I'm Laken Stewart. If you're looking for an authentic community that shares the truth of the gospel and the truth about life, you've come to the right place.
We believe that you are more. You're more than motherhood, more than your ministry, and more than your career. Grab a cup of coffee and listen in to hear the truth about what it means to find your identity in Christ through every season of life.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back. This week's episode is, as Laken mentioned just a few minutes ago, or seconds ago, I guess we should say, um, it's okay to cry over spilled milk.
Gosh,
So
yeah.
today we just, we don't have a lot of plans or preparations or expectations for this episode,
Do we
as
ever blame?
do we literally, there's nothing new.
We literally
But
shoot from the hip every week. It's fine.
every week, everyone be comforted in that.
Seriously.
Um, we have no script. However, we did just want to talk through just handling these little frustrations.
Conveniences. Yeah.
Yeah, it just in life, in every day, like she mentioned, and all my breastfeeding, pumping mamas will understand. But
Mm.
when someone tells you not to cry over spilled milk, it's okay to cry over spilled milk, and especially if that milk is breast milk.
Yep. Liquid gold. Literally liquid
Literally.
gold.
I mean, especially if you're a pumping mom and like every
Ounce
ounce
counts.
counts.
Mm.
So, all right.
Gosh. Yeah.
So we're just
So
going to go back and forth.
we
Like,
are like starting with like, what are some little frustrations that pop up in motherhood for you that just kind of make you cry? Like, just like what and how do you like deal with that long term?
a big one that you and I have talked about a lot lately
Mm-hmm.
is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Our
Yep.
kids, ourselves. I
And
get,
by sleep, we mean lack thereof.
yes, I mean, not.
Yeah.
Um, I was just thinking the other day, I have no complaints in how my kids
Mm.
sleep most of the time right now
Yeah.
because they're all pretty much at the age where they're all sleeping through the night. I've got one kid that kind of wakes up earlier than others, but he does really well to go to sleep. And so
Mm.
I have no complaints, but especially, those first couple weeks, months, years postpartum,
Currently years.
I
Yeah.
I mean, if we have a bad night of sleep, I'm just
Kind of
there's no
honestly.
reasoning and
Hmm.
rationale in the middle of the night when you're so frustrated
No.
that
Like,
either this kid can't go back to sleep or you can't, because that's my
yeah.
problem. And I am not a healthy, thriving girly if
Hmm.
sleep is
Same.
not on the agenda. So,
And Blaine,
how
I
about
don't
y'all?
know if you have this issue, but like when I am in like half awake, half asleep state and I am not sleeping, it's like the rage monster within me comes out.
Mhm.
And like I
Yes.
have to literally, like, there was one night Cody had COVID a few weeks ago, and Lila was sleeping in his closet in a pack and play.
Love this story.
And she would just not go to sleep. And I just remember I put her in the bed, and I'm just not a person that can fall asleep with like little feet touching me or moving or anything like
Yes,
bothering
and
me in
amen.
any capacity.
Mhm.
I was literally getting so frustrated. I put her back in the pack and play and punched the headboard like 7 times.
So any more rage monsters out there, we feel you. Okay.
I feel
Like you're
that I
not
was like,
alone.
I am at 22 months postpartum and still have postpartum rage, but
It's
definitely a work
okay.
in progress.
Well, it's also different. Like for me personally, I'm not speaking for everyone, but like
Hmm.
middle of the night feedings, I know that's going to happen.
That's gonna
I
happen. I
like
can mentally
expect it.
prepare. Yep.
Yes, I
But
know
it's
the
when
kid's going
they're
to wake me
like
up.
almost 2 years old and still
And
don't
it's
have it
just
together. Yeah.
like this week. My kid's pillow fell off the bed, so she wakes up
Oh
in the
my
middle of the night.
God.
Um,
For you to
let's
put her
see.
pillow back on her bed, right?
Yep. Yep. And then she fell out of the bed because we've just recently transitioned to like the twin bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Great.
so, yeah, I'm just like, thankfully, knock on
Mm.
all the wood, don't jinx me, Jesus. Like, we've not had one of those nights in a very, 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 very long time where, the kid just won't go back to sleep or anything,
Mm-hmm.
any of the kids. So, that's why I'm like, I'm complaining because usually they do, but it's just frustrations like that. But also, if anyone needs to know this, Laken, you, me, everyone, you are not defined by the amount of sleep that you or your kids get. Like,
It might
you're
define your
still,
behavior the next day, but
it
doesn't
will,
define
but you
you
know
as a
what?
person.
God's grace will cover that behavior. We
It's
fully
true.
believe. Let's just, yeah.
I know.
But it is frustrating. I don't know. For me, I just have to like, I even have to had to have like a mindset shift. With the middle of the night feedings because I would just,
Mm-hmm.
you get tired
You get so tired, and
just
it's like as soon as
having
you
to
get a
carry that.
3 hour stretch, and then the next night you get like a 1 hour stretch, and you're just
Hmm.
like, oh my goodness, what is happening?
Right, right. And when it's so unpredictable, but like I just had to shift something. I think when like my first was, I mean, no, it would have been second, but just those middle of the night feedings, I had to be like, all right, these are like sacred, holy moments.
Sacred holy moments, every moment holy.
I mean, I wish I had had that at that point because I
I
would have
know.
just been like, I'm so frustrated, Lord. Let me just read this prayer, or I'm gonna like rage against
Fix
the
myself.
wall and like, but I just had to be like, you know what? No one else is in here with me except this baby, and they can't
Mm,
talk. And so it's just, anyways, I just had to be like,
yeah,
that isn't to say that I enjoyed every little moment, but
no.
yeah.
I
So
think
any other, go
another
ahead.
one of those things is I don't know if your kids go through this stage of just throwing food everywhere,
Mm.
like
Or
gets
not
under,
eating what you fix.
yeah,
Yeah.
gets under my skin. Like Lila, our youngest, she's just does not care at all. And she will just throw her food. And I'm talking like messy spaghetti, like on the floor, peanut butter and
Yeah.
jelly going everywhere. And I think it bothers my husband more than me because I'm just like, well, it's just what she does. She's going to grow out of it. But that's one of those things where I'm like, oh my goodness, cannot wait for this stage to be over because every time she throws
Hmm.
food, I just want to cry because I spent an hour making it and now she's not eating it.
And you also cleaned to before. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's
I
what sends me over the edge is like I just mopped the floor and then there's a
literally.
mess on it. And
Hmm.
I'm like, why do I even mop the floor? Like, why do I do this?
I I get so frustrated and I just had to eventually just give it up.
Yeah.
Like give up this control in terms of if my kids eat what I fix or not. And
Yeah.
I've talked to several friends about this, but I was like, this is not going to derail my night. If
No.
you don't like what I cook, I am not a sous chef. I will not be making a separate meal.
No. You
The
will
only
just
time
go
that
hungry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm like,
And
this is
eventually
what
they'll
we're
eat. Yeah.
offering. Yeah, they do. I mean, they never go hungry because they are eating other times of the day, but like
Hmm.
usually, for supper, it's like you either eat this or you go to bed hungry right now and you can just have
Hmm.
breakfast in the morning because you're not getting another snack. Because
Yep.
usually they would be like, oh, well, I'll just get a snack later. And I'm
And you're
like,
like, kitchen's
you'll
closed, ma'am.
eventually, yeah,
Not
I'm
on the
like, yep,
menu.
you'll eat. this is our time to eat. We don't eat right before bed.
Yeah.
And drinking too. I'm just like, if you need some water, you better drink it all at supper because we're not going to be like,
I'm
thirsty.
thirsty.
Oh,
You
because
can
that's
probably
just
hear Lila in the
stalling.
background screaming.
I can't. So
Okay,
no
that's good.
worries. But just little stuff like that. I just eventually had to be like, I'm not going to force feed you. I can't shove this in your
Mm-mm.
mouth. I don't care if you eat or not. I don't want you to have a complicated relationship with food, but
No,
at the same time, you
I'm
don't
not offering you
determine.
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can,
And
you determine what you give your child to eat. It's their decision on how
mhm.
much they eat,
And we
essentially.
do not safe foods, but like normal foods.
Yeah.
So like,
And I always try to have like one thing I know they'll eat on their plate,
yes,
like
yes. But
whether it
there
be
are still
yogurt or
nights they
applesauce.
don't.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And I'm just like, okay, well, that's your choice. Like I'm
Yep.
allowing you to choose that, but I was like, this
I
is not
know
going to
it.
ruin
No,
the rest of our night
no,
anymore.
it's
So
not.
just, yeah, little stuff like
Okay.
that. But
So, Blaine, when it comes to ministry, what are some of those like little things that just make you want to cry? And then how do you give them to the Lord?
um, definitely the demands of our husband's jobs.
Mm.
I really have had to be honest with him about some things and how I was feeling. So, and also just kind of accept that the job is what it is.
Hmm.
So what I mean by that first part is like I used to get frustrated because I was like by myself on Sunday mornings, and
Mm.
if you're out there and that's still you, and
Yep,
that's
that's
just the
me.
nature of, yeah, I mean that's just the nature of his job. That's just,
Yeah.
you know. But especially like when we had kids, I told him one day I was like, I feel like I'm, single momming it on Sunday mornings. And I was like, I don't like that. I was like, it's just so much pressure because I will say at the time, and this is like, single moms, literally, if you want to put anybody on a pedestal, I do.
Them.
I honor them and respect
Don't know how
them
they do it. I
because
know.
I don't. And I'm like, you guys are literal rock stars. You guys, even if you don't feel like it, you are killing it. So just
Hmm.
shout out to the single moms listening.
Yeah.
Trust that you are my hero. But I just had to be honest with them and be like, I know you have a lot of things to do with the church, and I know you have to get there early, but like, I cannot do this by myself. And so,
Mm.
where we lived at the time, he would come home after he went to church really, really, really early, got everything ready, and he'd come home and get us and help me get out the door.
That's
Because it
great.
just got to the point where I was like, I'm overwhelmed and I can't do this now. I was doing a lot more at the church at that point.
Yeah.
So we had a lot more responsibilities. But now, because we live a little bit further from the church, we all ride together and we just get there with him as early as he needs. But yeah, there's just been times when I'm frustrated that like you're on the phone and we're trying to like do something as a family. And
Yeah.
it's not like leisure, or I mean there's
No,
like,
it's work. Yeah.
yeah, it's 100% work, or it's like, oh, I gotta go take care of this because who else is gonna do it? And I've
Hmm.
just had to been like, it's just part of the job because you are the person that has to take care of these things and change our plans. And thankfully, he has gotten really, really, really good at boundaries and has really, really respected our time as a family.
Mm.
But yeah, it's something that very frustrating. And so
Yeah.
if you're in that, don't let those frustrations linger. Just
They're
like,
fleeting, and it's always
yeah,
like I kind of have experienced that this week. Like Sunday, Cody was at work from like 8 to 6 because
yeah,
there was like a big leadership meeting, and so he like had work from 8 to 1, came home for like a hot second, and then went back. I don't even think he came home. He was like at the church until like going on 5 o'clock.
hmm.
And I like led worship this past week. So like I went in earlier than him to the church. He
Yeah.
like did all the kids stuff and got them
Hmm.
there. And then I like came home with the kids and like did everything else in the evening. And then Monday night, it was the college football championship game. So I kind of managed the children so he could watch Michigan play. And then
Yep.
Tuesday is the normal like college night at church. And so
Yep.
he was obviously there. And then last night was a small group meeting. And so like literally every night this week has
Yeah.
been just like I'm doing this all on my own. But he was very sweet and bought me a card and some Skittles to say thank you. That was very nice.
So he sees you.
He sees
That's
me, and
awesome.
that's just really like because this week has been a heavy week at work for me too, and just with the kids home, that's
Yeah.
really, really hard.
Hmm.
Um, like today I was supposed to leave this afternoon and like just go somewhere else to work, but I had so many calls this afternoon. I was like, it's just not
Right. Right.
worth it. But yeah, so I that was very nice. He got the kids out of the house this afternoon. He had an early day off, which was nice, but that's definitely something that is frustrating. And I think in our old position when we lived in Virginia, it wasn't necessarily that time drain. It was like the emotional drain of when a congregant calls him and like
Yeah.
blesses him out over the phone. And you're just
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
if you're a congregant, don't ever do that to your pastor because that's just
Yeah.
shady.
Mm. Take your request before the Lord.
Seriously.
Try
And if the
Jesus,
Lord
not
sees fit, if the Lord sees fit, he'll fix your problem.
I like if you're in ministry, speak it out and like tell
Mm.
your spouse
Yes,
because
communicate what you're
you can
feeling.
harbor those
Hmm.
roots of resentment, which can turn to bitterness. And then you're
Yep.
just like, I'm sick of this and I've been
Yep.
there. And so I'm just like,
Unvoiced, unmet expectations. You have to voice what you're
yeah,
feeling, what you're expecting. And same with your spouse. Like if there's an expectation of him or her to be somewhere and like they have to be there, but they're not like communicating that with you until like the day of, like that's something else that has to adjust. It's like
hmm.
a two-way street of like, no matter what the expectation is, whether it be from your job, from you yourself to your spouse, from your kids to your spouse, from your kids to you, like you have to explain them and communicate or else it's going to fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. We've definitely seen that like the communication about events that are going on are like,
Hmm.
hey, I was going to run to the church to do this, but like, do we have anything else going on?
Yeah.
Because, and I've talked about this before, like, our church is a priority, but it's not the top priority. And
Hmm.
so, um, he gets his job done, but at the same time,
Family comes first.
definitely
Yeah.
checks in. Yeah, he's like, hey, what do we have going on? I've got to run to the church. It's not the hey, um,
Drop
I've
everything.
got to
I'm
go
going to
do
the
this.
church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of like, I need to run by the church, but like, do y'all want to go with me? Do you want to do, it's very much, we always try to take our kids along with us if we're doing
Yeah.
anything ministry related, even if it's tiring and late and just, but
It's good to have
we've
everybody
never
there.
regretted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've
Yeah.
never regretted taking our kids along, seeing even the little things, the background, because we also don't want them to grow up and be resentful of his position in the church. Like we
Yeah.
want them to see that we take care of things, but like church
Hmm.
is not our sole life,
Yeah.
whatever. So,
It's great.
anyways, so moving from ministry, let's see, we've covered motherhood, we've covered
Motherhood
ministry.
ministry.
So career, and this can be um current career or like whatever, but I've got several examples through the years. But just like little frustrations at work, if you know, coworkers are just like the stuff that's put on your plate or the expectations. How do you handle
Mhm.
those little like
Yeah.
what are you crying over? Like
Oh
what's the
man.
spilled milk?
Yeah. I've had a few jobs where I've cried over things. um,
Same. Hmm.
I think the most like pungent is the wrong word, but the one that most sticks out in my brain is when I worked in Texas at an elementary school and a student had like gone home to their mom and like complained about me because I was showing like quote unquote favoritism to another kid. And which like yes, I should have handled like that specific situation better, but I wouldn't call it favoritism. And if I thought it was, I
Hmm.
would definitely admit to that. Um, but I had like the principal at my school who was not my direct supervisor. My supervisor was through the nonprofit that I worked with. She
Yeah.
like essentially attacked me for like saying things to this kid, which were not true. And that was just like one thing I cried over. And it wasn't necessarily a small thing, it was a pretty big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just like, I think one of my biggest frustrations in life in general, not just career related, but it kind of seeps into that is like, again, not communicating like proper expectations and like
Yeah.
what's needed, like time frame. I don't know. I think that's like the unvoiced, unmet expectations kind of permeates your entire life, but can be really difficult if it's not adhered to, like at work. Um, and thankfully, Blaine, like we have a job now where like that's 9 times out of 10 not the case.
No.
Like everyone communicates pretty well. Like our company culture and core values are seeped into everyone's bones. So it's
Yeah.
like I haven't necessarily experienced that, internally at work of my current job, but have definitely experienced that outside of where I work now. But I think if I'm talking about my job now, it's not necessarily something directly involved like with my job. It's
Hmm.
circumstances surrounding my job. Like if school gets closed and then
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
snow, like I'm working from home with the kids and that's literally near impossible. And like everyone on
Right.
the East Coast this past week had like flooding and so like tons of folks were taking off because their
Oh,
kids
yeah.
were out of school
Yeah.
and like
Power outages and stuff. Yeah.
trying to pick up the pieces there of like
Hmm.
sometimes, I mean, I wish this probably like once a week, wish we all had an office to go to to like just have camaraderie,
Yeah.
but also like that aspect of the job, having it be remote can sometimes be just hard because it's great that you
Hmm.
get to work from home, but also there's those nuances where like when your kids are home, you still have to work. So,
Yeah. Same with the current job. It's like I can get my job done
mhm.
really quickly if there's
If
no
my
one
kids are
around.
around, yeah.
But because like today I was super busy. Kids weren't around, but there have definitely been days full of just unexpected like curveballs, not like anything bad, but just like I have a lot of personal stuff to do, or we're
Mhm.
busy, the
It's just a
church, there's
busy
something going on,
season.
or the
Yeah.
school. Yeah. And so I'm like, I've not been able to work. I'm gonna have to work after hours, and I
Yeah.
say after hours, but like when everyone's home, like after supper at night, and I don't like doing that. That kind of violates all boundaries that I've put in.
I know.
But I'm just like, again, don't let this derail your day. Like, I'm very much more of a let's look on the bright side of things kind of person. But I also, again, just have to tell my husband, like, hey, crazy day. I'm going to have to put in some work later. And he's like, I got you.
No worries.
Like,
Yeah.
got the kids. I'll
Cody's the
handle
same way.
supper.
Yep.
Yeah. Unless he's trying to cook supper and the kids are literally
Oh,
on each
men can't do
leg. And
that.
he's like, can you please just come? And I'm like, yes, I will just work later.
And
Because he's like,
I know
can't
my
do it.
husband struggles with the same thing. I think my husband has made dinner twice since our kids have been born.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
He makes it all the time and it's super helpful. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll
that
wait till
doesn't
later.
include like going to get pizza. I don't count that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like previous jobs, I used to work in like the healthcare population and
Hmm.
or the healthcare sector in various like patient populations. And one interaction, like negative, and I'm not talking like good criticism, like improvements, like good leadership. I'm talking just straight up people are just rude, which now I'm like, okay, they're hurting over something or they're just in
Yeah.
a bad mood because like their dog died or something. I don't know. But just it would literally like I would tear up and oftentimes
Mm.
my anger manifests as tears.
Oh, same.
I'll cry if I'm angry.
It
But
totally invalidates our feelings of
I
anger.
mean, I'm just like I mean, if I'm crying over something random like that, I'm angry. That's the
Hmm.
core
Yep.
feeling. It's coming out as tears. But I mean, it would seriously just change the entire rest of my day. Or if there was
Hmm.
just Not that everything is like happy-go-lucky. Like, I know we all want it to be sunshine and butterflies all the time, but like, there are hard days, but like, should I let it affect how I'm going to work tomorrow or how I'm going to behave
Mm,
or like treat my kids in the next hour? Like, they didn't do anything to me, especially work related. Like, there have been job changes where it was very mentally stressful, emotionally stressful, and it would change. I mean, if I came home and I stayed in a bad mood, that's when I knew. I was like, Lord, you got to release me because
yeah.
I can't do it anymore. Because it just got to be too common. But anyways, that definitely those years, I mean, anybody in healthcare can tell you, probably in teaching and retail, all,
Oh
if you
man.
have a bad
Working with
interaction,
the
it's
general
like,
public
oh,
is just not fun. The general public
now
sucks. Like, don't be one of
I
those
just think
people.
to myself, I'm like, what would I do now? Like if I were working in retail, which I hope to never have to go back to, but if I do, whatever. I'm like, how would I react if someone was being a booty head? Like, what would I do? And,
Kill
honestly,
them with
like
kindness.
I would like to just say that I'd be like, are you finished? Just kind of like flat,
Like,
just like,
okay, are you done now? Thanks. Let's
okay,
move on.
like, so what else can I do? Yeah,
Let's move on. Yeah.
so I try. I really like, crying over the spilled milk. And when I tell my kids, I don't know if you do this, but like, it's okay to be sad about something. Like, have your moment. Like, Laken, you cry over that spilled milk today.
Oh, I
It's
cried
it's
today.
okay.
I cried.
That's fine. But I'm like, I need a moment. Like, I do this a lot, or I have done it a lot in the past. I'm just like, I just let me be mad for 30 minutes. Let me just be by myself. Let me be sad. Let me revel. But then we're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to, I don't know, what should we say to ourselves? Like,
I know.
this doesn't
This is
define me.
temporary.
It is. This too shall pass. That's what I like to say to other people, but I seem to never remember it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd never take my own advice.
I know. I'm the same way. I'm like, like if this would have like if something goes awry in your life, I would be immediate to be like, Blaine, it's gonna be okay. Like the Lord's
hmm
got this.
Same. Same.
But do I believe that? It's a work in progress every day.
Oh, I spiral. I'm like,
All the time.
I'm the worst employee that we have, and I'm going to get fired, and I do everything wrong. I mean, it's just like negative thoughts. And if you had told me that, I would be like, Lakin, none of that is true.
I think you told me
Zero.
that earlier.
I have zero of those things are true.
Seriously.
It goes back to our like consider the lilies thing.
I
Like
know.
if God, like he does care about these small spilled milks. Like he
He
cares. He's
does.
in each of these frustrations in each part
Hmm.
of life. We can't control that,
No, you just have
but
to go with the
you can
flow
control your
and
response.
you
Yeah. Oh,
can.
you
Oh,
can
my
control how
response to
you
the spilled
react.
milk today was not great. I think I said a cuss word. Thankfully, my kids were downstairs in the basement and they didn't hear me because immediately would have repeated it
Good.
if they had.
Yes, they would have that. Yes. Doesn't make you a bad mom, but yes, they probably would have.
Oh man.
I know.
But yeah,
I
it's
have to remember that. I'm like, I can't control this just happened to me, but
I can
I
control how I
can't.
react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that's oftentimes why I'm like, I need a minute. Because if I react right now,
Yeah. Take a pause.
I could, you know,
Fly off the handle.
punch a hole through that glass door right there.
Seriously.
Fly off the handle is an understatement.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man. Well, if that's you, if you've cried over spilt milk today, please know you're not alone. And just know that God sees us in those tiny moments of frustration and in every moment of life, and that this wasn't necessarily a time to commiserate, but a time to encourage and just let all of you wonderful listeners know that God sees you and he loves you, regardless of what's going on in your life and how you may feel towards him. So thank you guys so much for taking a listen today. If you haven't caught up from 2023, go ahead and back it up and take a listen to those. We've got some good stuff
yeah.
out for from last year as well. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening and click the bell so you get an update every time we put something new out. And then make sure you give us a follow on Instagram at YouAreMorePod. We've been pushing out a good bit of content on Instagram this week, and I'm excited about it. So we're thankful for you guys, and spread the word. That's how we're going to get other moms and other ministry wives and other women who work full-time, part-time, everything in between, just hearing the good news of the Lord and kind of reaping from that what we sow. So we'll see you next time.